The main hall of the Galactic Council stretched for miles. Ceiling lights looked like stars. Beings from 1,000 worlds sat in curved rows. They whispered as Dr. Alan Carter walked to the speaking platform. Alan was tall, with short gray hair and tired eyes. He had not slept for 3 days. "Representatives of the Galactic Council," Alan said, his voice echoing. "I bring greetings from Earth." No one clapped. No one nodded. Many aliens just stared with multiple eyes or sensing organs. Some didn't even look up from their devices. Alan cleared his throat. "Earth is honored to join this great community of worlds. Today I will show you our newest ship, the Defiance." He pressed a button on his wrist device. A large hologram appeared above the platform. It showed a sleek silver ship with engine pods on each side. "The Defiance can reach half-light speed using our new warp drive. It bends space ahead of the ship and—" A sound interrupted Alan. It was laughter. It started with one being in the front row, a tall blue alien with 4 arms. Then others joined in. Soon half the hall was laughing. The blue alien stood up. "Counselor Zixaval of the Arcturus Collective," he said, bowing slightly. "Dr. Carter, forgive our reaction. It's just that you're still using 4-dimensional travel methods. Most worlds master that before they even leave their home systems." More laughter filled the room. Alan's face turned red, but he kept his calm. "Our technology may be developing," Alan said, "but we are quick learners." He tried to continue his presentation. The hologram of the Earthship flickered and died. The subspace communicator had failed. Again, laughter filled the hall. Alan finished his speech quickly and left the platform. As he walked back to his seat, he heard the whispers. "Primitives. They'll never catch up. Why did we even let them join?" Alan sat down next to his assistant, Maria Lopez. Maria was younger, with dark hair pulled back tightly and sharp brown eyes. "They think we're jokes," Alan whispered. Maria smiled. "Good. Let them think that." 12 light years away, deep beneath the Nevada desert, Olivia Reyes wiped sweat from her face as she worked. The room was hot from all the computers. Olivia had dark circles under her eyes. Her black hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She had been awake for 36 hours straight. "Jack, the simulation is ready," she called. Jack Miller looked up from his workstation. He was tall and broad-shouldered with short brown hair and a thin scar across his right cheek from a lab accident years ago. "Is the quantum foam stable this time?" Jack asked, walking over. Olivia nodded. "I think so. The math works out." They stood before a circular platform. In the center was a metal ball the size of a basketball. Wires connected it to the computers around the room. "Project Tesseract Test 47, Olivia said to the recording system. "Initiating dimensional fold in 3, 2, 1. She pressed a button. The metal ball glowed blue. Then it disappeared. A second later it reappeared. Jack checked the readings. It worked. The ball existed in the 7th dimension for 1.2 seconds. Olivia smiled. "No one else in the galaxy has done this, not even the Arcturus Collective." "They think we're still working on warp drives," Jack said, laughing. "That's the point," said a new voice. General Patricia Walsh walked into the room. She was in her 60s with short silver hair and a uniform with many medals. Her face was serious, but her eyes showed pride. "Dr. Reyes, Dr. Miller." "Good work," she said. "How long until the full-size drive is ready?" 6 months if we solve the power issue," Olivia said. The general nodded. "Our diplomatic team just finished at the council. The aliens laughed at our primitive technology." "Perfect." Jack looked confused. "You wanted them to laugh at us?" "Of course," General Walsh said. "Let our enemies underestimate us. While they mock our warp drives, we'll perfect technology they haven't even dreamed of." She walked to a large window that looked out over a massive hangar. Down below, hundreds of workers moved around the frame of a ship. It was much bigger than the Defiance in Alan's presentation. Its hull was black and seemed to absorb light. "The Ascendant," General Walsh said with pride. "Our real first interstellar ship. When it's ready, no one will be laughing." On the other side of the galaxy, Counselor Zixval met with other powerful members of the council in a private room. The humans are no threat, Zixval said. Their technology is centuries behind ours. A reptilian alien nodded. They will be useful for resources. Their solar system has many metals we need. What about their military? Asked another alien with gray skin and large black eyes. Primitive, Zixval said, laughing. They still use nuclear weapons and basic energy shields. Their best ships would fall to even our smallest fighters. Back on Earth, in the White House, President Samantha Ellis received the encrypted transmission from Alan Carter. She sat behind her desk, a tall woman with blonde hair cut short and steady blue eyes. So they laughed at us, she said. Alan's face looked tired on the screen. Yes, Madam President, they think we're centuries behind them. And our observer, the alien they're sending, a Pleiadian named Karek. He'll arrive next week. The president nodded. Good. Security Protocol Omega is in effect. He sees only what we want him to see. The public space program, the NASA facilities, the old technology. And Black Box, Alan asked. Doesn't exist as far as the galaxy knows, the president said. No alien will get within 100 miles of Nevada. After the call ended, the president stood and walked to the window. She looked up at the night sky. Laugh while you can, she said quietly. Humanity has never stayed down for long. In the Nevada facility, Olivia and Jack worked through the night. The metal ball disappeared and reappeared again and again in their tests. Can you imagine the look on their faces when they see what we can really do? Jack asked. Olivia smiled as she typed in new calculations. They think physics works one way. We're about to show them they don't know everything. Above them, in the hangar, workers swarmed over the dark ship. The Ascendant grew larger each day. Inside its hull, spaces waited for the impossible engine that would let it slip between dimensions, an engine that would change everything. The galaxy was still laughing. But not for long. 6 months passed since the humiliating council meeting. Snow covered the Nevada desert outside, but no one in Black Box facility noticed. They hadn't seen sunlight in weeks. Olivia Reyes stood in front of a wall of screens. Numbers and diagrams flowed across them. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and sighed. The math works, she said to Jack, who stood beside her. We're bending dimensions that no other species has even thought about. Jack nodded, his fingers moving quickly across a floating keyboard. Normal physics says this is impossible, but normal physics doesn't know about the quantum foam manipulation we've created. Around them, 50 scientists and engineers worked at different stations. The room hummed with energy. In the center was a larger version of their test device. It was now the size of a car, glowing blue and occasionally flickering out of existence for a second before returning. Test 332 is stable, called out a young scientist from across the room. The object stayed in the 7th dimension for 30 seconds. Olivia smiled. 6 months ago, they could only maintain the shift for 1 second. Now 30. Progress was happening fast. If we can hold it for 5 minutes, we can move the drive to the ship, she told Jack. Jack looked up at the ceiling, thinking of the massive hangar above them. The Ascendant is almost ready, just waiting for us. In orbit around Earth, Admiral William Blackwood floated through the construction bay of the space station. He was in his 50s, with a shaved head and dark skin that had seen too much sun in his younger days. His blue uniform showed many medals and ribbons. Workers moved around him in spacesuits. They were building the outer hull of the Ascendant. From the outside, it looked like a normal ship. Not too big, not too small. Nothing special. That was the point. How's the shielding coming along? Admiral Blackwood asked a nearby engineer. Almost. Done, sir, the woman answered. The outer hull looks like standard metal, but underneath are the special materials from Black Box. No scans will see what's really inside. The Admiral nodded. To anyone watching, the Ascendant would look like a slightly improved version of the Defiance. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to fear. Only a few people knew the truth. Inside that ordinary-looking hull would soon be an engine that could step outside of normal space altogether. The aliens think they're so advanced, the engineer said quietly. They've been exploring space for millions of years, yet they missed this. That's humanity's gift, Admiral Blackwood said. We look at the same problems from different angles. We find the holes in theories that others miss. He turned to look at Earth below them, beautiful and blue. Home. And we're stubborn, he added with a smile. We don't like being laughed at. On the other side of the space station, Karek, the alien observer from the Pleiades Imperium, was being given a tour. He was tall and thin with pale skin that seemed almost transparent. His eyes were large and completely black. 4 fingers on each hand ended in sharp points. And this is our advanced propulsion lab, said the NASA guide, showing him a room full of equipment. Karek looked around with barely hidden boredom. These are warp field generators, very basic. Yes, but we've improved efficiency by 12%, the guide said proudly. The alien made a sound like a sigh. The Pleiades Imperium improved efficiency by over 400%. 10,000 years ago. The guide nodded politely. We're still learning. What Karek didn't know was that everything he was seeing had been carefully prepared. The advanced lab was filled with technology that Earth had already moved beyond. The real labs were hidden. The real work happened where no alien eyes could see. Every night, Karek sent reports back to the Galactic Council. Humans continue to work on primitive technology. Their best ships are barely able to reach nearby stars. Their weapons are ineffective. Their understanding of dimensional physics is elementary at best. They remain centuries behind even our most basic systems. Every night, those reports were intercepted by Earth intelligence. President Ellis read them with a smile. He's seeing exactly what we want him to see, she told her advisors in the White House Situation Room. How is the real work progressing? General, Walsh stood up. Black Box reports they're now able to maintain 7th-Dimensional shift for over 2 minutes. Admiral Blackwood says the Ascendant's hull is almost complete. We're ahead of schedule. And the Council? Any suspicions? None, the General said. They've classified Earth as a developing world with limited potential. We're not even on their threat board. The President nodded. Good. Keep it that way. Back in Nevada, Olivia and Jack took a rare break. They sat in the small cafeteria, drinking coffee. Both looked tired. Both looked excited. Do you ever think about what this means? Jack asked. Not just for space travel, but for everything? Olivia nodded. If we can step outside normal space-time, it changes everything. Energy production, computing, medicine, warfare. Warfare. Jack repeated quietly. That's why this is all secret, isn't it? The military didn't build this place just for peaceful exploration. Olivia looked around to make sure no one was listening. I saw the plans for the weapon systems last week. The Ascendant won't just be able to travel, it will be able to attack in ways no one can defend against. Jack frowned. Is that why we're here? To build a better weapon? We're here to protect Earth, Olivia said firmly. You heard what the aliens said. They think we're primitive, weak. How long before some species decides to take our planet for themselves? Jack didn't answer. He knew she was right. Their break ended. They went back to work. The glowing engine in the center of the lab grew more stable each day. In orbit, the Ascendant's hull was completed. Workers began installing systems and equipment. From the outside, it looked ordinary. Inside, spaces waited for technology that would change the galaxy. Admiral Blackwood watched from a viewport as a shuttle approached the space station. It carried the first crew members for the Ascendant. 12 men and women, the best Earth had to offer. Captain Nate Winters was the first to step out of the shuttle. He was younger than the Admiral had expected, maybe mid-30s. He had light brown hair and serious green eyes. His handshake was firm. Captain Winters reporting for duty, sir. The Admiral returned the salute. Welcome aboard, Captain. Your crew? The best pilots, engineers, and scientists available, sir. All briefed on the real nature of this mission. And what is the real nature of this mission, Captain? The Admiral asked, testing him. Nate's face stayed serious. To show the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated, sir. The Admiral smiled slightly. Good answer. Follow me. I'll show you your ship. As they walked through the station, the Admiral spoke quietly. The outside looks normal, deliberately so. The aliens think it's just an improved version of the Defiance. They reached a viewport that looked out at the Ascendant. It floated in space, dark against the stars. But inside, the Admiral continued, once Black Box delivers the drive, you'll command the most advanced ship in known space. A ship that can step between dimensions. A ship that can appear anywhere, anytime, without warning. Captain Winters looked at the ship. His ship. And the weapons, sir? If everything works as planned, you won't need conventional weapons. The dimensional technology itself will be your weapon, your defense, your shield. On Earth, in the Nevada desert, Olivia watched as the test engine stayed in the 7th dimension for 6 full minutes. We did it, she whispered. Jack checked the readings again. Power consumption is stable, no radiation leakage, it's ready. General Walsh walked into the lab, followed by a team of security officers. Dr. Reyes, Dr. Miller, congratulations. It's time to move the drive to orbit. Jack looked surprised. Now, we should run more tests. No time, the general said. Intelligence. Reports suggest we may need the Ascendant operational sooner than we thought. What's happened? Olivia asked. The general's face was grim. Let's just say some aliens are taking too much interest in our solar system. The Ascendant needs to be ready. That night, under heavy guard, the engine was moved from Black Box to a special transport. No one outside a small circle knew what was happening. To the rest of the world, to the watching galaxy, it was just another quiet night on Earth. But soon, very soon, the quiet would end, and the laughter would stop. Admiral Thurok of the Dravidian fleet stood on the bridge of his command ship. He was tall, nearly 8 feet, with gray skin covered in hard plates. 4 yellow eyes were set in a face that rarely showed emotion. He had conquered 12 systems. In the name of the Dravidian expansion, Earth would be the 13th report, he ordered. His second-in-command, a smaller Dravidian named Vex, bowed slightly. The humans have deployed defensive satellites around Mars, Admiral. Primitive technology. Our scans show basic energy weapons and simple shields. Any ships? A few small vessels. Nothing of concern. One larger ship approaching from Earth, but its weapons are minimal. Thurok made a sound like stones grinding together. It was laughter. As intelligence reported, these humans are barely space-capable. This will be over quickly. Should we open communication, Admiral? Offer them one last chance to surrender? Thurok's upper eyes blinked slowly. No. They've had their warning. Begin the attack. Destroy their defenses around Mars first. Vex bowed again. Yes, Admiral. Deploying attack squadrons now. The Dravidian ships moved with perfect coordination. Smaller vessels broke off from the main fleet, heading toward the human defenses around Mars. Energy weapons powered up, glowing green against the blackness of space. The first shots destroyed 3 Earth satellites instantly. The human ships tried to fight back, firing missiles and energy beams. They did nothing against the Dravidian shields. Thurok watched the battle from his command chair. It wasn't really a battle. It was extermination. Their technology is as primitive as intelligence, suggested, Vex reported. Their strongest weapons cannot penetrate even our lightest shields. Thurok nodded. Another system for the expansion, another victory for his record. Then something impossible happened. Admiral. Vex's voice changed, showing alarm for the first time. New contact. The Earthship we detected earlier. Yes, but Vex hesitated. It's appearing in multiple locations simultaneously. Impossible, Thurok said, standing. Check your sensors. Sensors confirmed, Admiral. The Earth vessel is somehow present at 12 different points within our formation. On the main screen, Thurok saw it, a black ship, not large, not impressive. But it was in 12 places at once, not copies. The same ship, existing in multiple spaces. How are they doing this? He demanded. No one answered. No one knew. Aboard the Ascendant, Captain Winters sat calmly in his command chair. Around him, his crew worked with focused intensity. Dimensional shift successful, reported Lieutenant Ramirez. We're existing in 12 different points in space simultaneously. Nate nodded. The Dravidians? Confused, sir. Their sensors can see us, but they don't understand what they're seeing. Good. Maintain 7th-Dimensional field. Prepare for attack pattern Alpha. In the engine room, Olivia monitored the dimensional drive. The core glowed with colors that shouldn't exist, pulsing with energy that defied normal physics. 7D manifold is stable, she reported over the comm. We're operating beyond their sensor capabilities. Jack worked beside her, making tiny adjustments to the power flow. The ship is holding together. Stress on the hull is within acceptable limits. Olivia allowed herself a small smile. It's working, Jack. It's actually working. Did you doubt your own math? He asked, not looking up from his controls. No. I doubted whether reality would cooperate with my math. The Ascendant moved through the Dravidian formation like a ghost. One moment it was here, then there, then in multiple places at once. The Dravidians fired at it, but their weapons passed through empty space. The human ship wasn't just moving fast, it was stepping outside normal space itself. On the Dravidian command ship, chaos erupted. Admiral, we can't target it, Vex shouted. It's changing dimensional coordinates faster than our weapons can track, Thorok's face finally showed emotion. Fear. What technology is this? The humans are supposed to be primitive. Unknown, Admiral. We're detecting energy patterns that don't match anything in our database. Deploy all fighters. Surround that ship. It can't be everywhere at once, but the Ascendant could be everywhere at once. That was exactly what the dimensional drive allowed. Captain Winters watched the Dravidian fighters deploy. Hundreds of small ships spreading out in a net formation. They're trying to box us in, said Commander Chen. Standard tactic against fast-moving targets. Nate nodded. But we're not just fast-moving. Lieutenant Ramirez, prepare dimensional weapon systems. Dimensional weapons ready, Captain. Nate took a deep breath. They had tested the drive. They had tested movement through 7th-dimensional space, but they had never tested the weapons. Target. The nearest Dravidian cruiser. Fire when ready. The Ascendant didn't fire conventional weapons, torpedoes or energy beams. Instead, it created localized dimensional inversions. Small points where the fabric of reality briefly folded in on itself. The nearest Dravidian cruiser was suddenly caught in one of these inversions. For a split second, different parts of the ship existed in different dimensions. Matter couldn't maintain cohesion under such conditions. The alien ship didn't explode. It simply came apart, as if invisible hands had pulled it in all directions. At once, Commander Chen stared at the screen. It worked. All weapon stations target Dravidian vessels, Nate ordered. Prioritize their heavy cruisers. The Ascendant moved through the enemy fleet untouchable. Wherever it went, Dravidian ships came apart, not destroyed by force, but by the laws of physics themselves. In the engine room, Olivia and Jack worked, frantically to keep the dimensional drive stable. Power fluctuations increasing, Jack called out. We can't maintain this level of output for long. Olivia's fingers flew over the controls. Rerouting power from secondary systems. We need 10 more minutes. On the Dravidian command ship, Admiral Thorok watched his fleet being decimated, not by superior numbers or firepower, but by a single human vessel using technology he couldn't understand. Order all ships to retreat, he shouted. Maximum speed. Get clear of that ship's range. Admiral, the human vessel is approaching our position, Vex reported, voice shaking. It's shifting between dimensions as it comes. Thorok stared at the crisis began on a Tuesday morning. Sensors at the edge of the solar system detected something large entering from deep space. At first, the scientists thought it was a natural phenomenon. It wasn't. At NASA headquarters, alarms sounded. People ran to workstations, screens filled with data. What are we looking at? Asked the NASA director, a short woman named Susan Green. Ships, answered a pale-faced technician. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Alien ships? Yes, ma'am, and they're not slowing down. Within an hour, the president gathered her crisis team in the White House Situation Room. The room was silent except for the hum of computers and the steady voice of Admiral Blackwood giving his report. "They call themselves the Dravidians," he said, pointing to the large screen showing blurry images of the approaching fleet. "They're not members of the Galactic Council. They're from the outer rim of the galaxy." "Why are they here?" President Ellis asked. General Walsh spoke up. "We intercepted their communications. It's not good, Madam President. They're claiming our solar system as their territory." The room went quiet. The President's face showed no emotion, but her hands gripped the edge of the table tightly. "They want to take Earth?" she asked. "The entire solar system," General Walsh clarified. "Their message says they need our resources for what they call the Dravidian expansion." "Have they contacted us directly?" "Yes, Madam President," said Alan Carter, who had returned from his council mission months ago. "Their transmission arrived 10 minutes ago. They're giving us 1 Earth week to surrender. Or they'll take the system by force." Their words, not mine. The President stood up and walked to the window. Outside, people walked on the White House lawn. Tourists took pictures. Children played. No one knew that thousands of alien ships were heading toward Earth. "What about the Galactic Council?" the President asked. "Will they help us?" Alan shook his head. "I contacted them immediately. Their response was disappointing. They said that primitive species disputes are below their concern. They won't intervene. They're going to let the Dravidians wipe us out," General Walsh said angrily. "What are our options?" the President asked. Admiral Blackwood stepped forward. "Our conventional defenses can't stop them. Their ships are too advanced, too numerous. What about the Defiance, the ship we showed the Council? It would be destroyed in seconds." The room fell silent again. Then General Walsh cleared her throat. "Madam President, there is one option." She looked around the room. "It's time for Tesseract." The President's eyes widened slightly. "The Ascendant? Is it ready?" "The dimensional drive was installed 3 days ago," Admiral Blackwood said. "We've run basic tests. It works. The ship can shift between dimensions." "But?" the President asked, hearing the doubt in his voice. "But we haven't tested it in combat. We don't know if the weapon systems will function in 7th-Dimensional space." The President returned to her seat. "What's your assessment, General? Honest assessment." General Walsh stood straight. "The Ascendant is our only chance. Conventional warfare against this fleet is suicide. We need to show them something they've never seen before." "And the crew, Captain Winters?" "Ready," Admiral Blackwood answered. "They've trained for months in simulations. They know the risks." The President nodded slowly. "Do it. Prepare the Ascendant for combat deployment." She looked around the table. "And prepare Earth for possible invasion. Quietly. No public panic." In orbit, Captain Nate Winters received his orders. He gathered his crew in the Ascendant's bridge. The room was dark, lit by the glow of screens and control panels. The 12 crew members stood in a circle, faces serious. "You all know why we're here," Nate said. "Our mission has changed. The Dravidians are coming and the Galactic Council won't help us." He touched a control panel. A hologram appeared, showing the massive alien fleet approaching. "This ship, our ship, is now Earth's first and last line of defense. What we do in the next few days will determine whether humanity survives or not." A young engineer raised her hand. "Sir, the dimensional drive has only been tested in controlled conditions. We don't know how it will perform in combat." Nate nodded. "You're right, Lieutenant Ramirez. We're flying blind. But that's what humans do best. We adapt, we improvise, we overcome." He looked around at his crew. "The Ascendant can do things no ship in the galaxy can do. We can exist in multiple dimensions at once. We can appear and disappear anywhere in space. Our weapons can attack from angles that shouldn't exist." "And if it doesn't work?" asked his second-in-command, Commander Lisa Chen. "Then we die trying," Nate said simply. "Better than surrender." The crew nodded. No more questions. They went to their stations, preparing the ship for what was coming. In her lab aboard the Ascendant, Olivia Reyes made final adjustments to the dimensional drive. Jack Miller worked beside her, checking systems. I never thought our first real test would be in battle, Olivia said quietly. Jack didn't look up from his work. At least we'll know if it works. If it doesn't, we won't be around to fix it. Jack finally looked at her. It will work. The math is solid. The tests were successful. Olivia nodded, but her hands trembled slightly as she worked. I just wish we had more time. That's the story of human history, Jack said with a small smile. Never enough time. But we make it work anyway. On Earth, governments around the world received coded messages from the White House. Military forces went on high alert. Civil defense plans were activated. All done quietly, to avoid panic. The Dravidian fleet crossed Neptune's orbit. Their ships were massive black shapes against the stars. Leading them was a vessel 5 times larger than the others, the command ship. From this ship came another transmission to Earth. Your time grows short. Prepare for submission to the Dravidian expansion. In the Pentagon War Room, President Ellis heard the latest report. The Dravidian fleet has accelerated. They'll reach Mars orbit in 48 hours. Sooner than we expected, General Walsh said grimly. Is the Ascendant ready? As ready as it can be, Madam President. Captain Winters reports all systems functional. The President closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, her decision was made. Send the Ascendant to meet them at Mars. Deploy our conventional forces as a decoy. Make the Dravidians think we're mounting a desperate defense. And if the Ascendant fails? Asked the Secretary of Defense. Then we fight until the end. The President said firmly. Humanity doesn't surrender. In orbit, the Ascendant detached from the space station. From the outside, it looked like an ordinary ship. Black hull, standard engines glowing blue at the rear. Nothing special. Inside, Captain Winters sat in the command chair. All stations report. Navigation ready. Weapons ready. Engineering ready. Dimensional drive ready. Nate nodded. Take us out, Lieutenant Garcia. Half thrust until we're clear of Earth orbit. The ship moved slowly away from the blue planet. On screens, they watched Earth grow smaller behind them. Once we're clear, prepare for dimensional shift, Nate ordered. We'll test the drive before we reach Mars. In the engine room, Olivia and Jack monitored the drive. The central core glowed blue, then purple, then a color that human eyes couldn't quite see. Power level stable, Jack reported. Quantum field forming. Olivia checked the readings. Ready for shift on your command, Captain? On the bridge, Nate felt the weight of the moment. This was it. Either the drive worked, or humanity faced extinction. Initiate dimensional shift, he ordered. Take us into the 7th dimension. The ship trembled. Lights flickered. For a moment, everyone felt strange, as if they existed in multiple places at once. Then calm. The bridge looked the same, but outside the viewports, space looked different. Colors were wrong. Stars bent in impossible ways. Status? Nate asked. We've done it, came Olivia's voice over the comm. We're in the 7th dimension. All systems functioning. Nate allowed himself a small smile. Take us back. Another shift. The strange colors faded. Normal space returned. Test successful, Olivia reported. The drive works perfectly. Nate nodded. Set course for Mars. Maximum speed. He looked at his crew. The Dravidians think they're facing a primitive species with primitive weapons. Let's show them how wrong they are. The Ascendant accelerated toward Mars, where the fate of Earth would be decided. Behind them, humanity prepared for either victory or the end. As Mars grew larger in their viewports, the Dravidian fleet came into view. Thousands of ships arranged in perfect formation. At the center, the massive command ship. They're scanning us, reported the sensor officer. Standard scans. They can see our hull, our engines. Nothing else. Good, Nate said. They think we're just another target. Let's keep it that way until the last moment. He opened a channel to the entire ship. Battle stations. Prepare for dimensional combat. The Ascendant moved steadily toward the waiting alien fleet. One small ship against an armada. The laughter had stopped. The fight for survival had begun. 1 month after what became known as the Mars incident, Earth prepared to return to the Galactic Council. The Great Hall looked the same. Miles of curved seating, ceiling lights like stars, thousands of alien delegates. But the feeling was different. No one was laughing now. Dr. Alan Carter walked to the speaking platform again, just as he had 6 months earlier. This time, Maria Lopez walked beside him. Both wore formal dark blue suits with a small Earth emblem, a blue planet with 7 silver rings around it. The room went silent as Alan reached the platform. Every alien eye, sensory organ, and scanner focused on the human. Representatives of the Galactic Council, Alan began, his voice calm and clear. I bring greetings from Earth. This time, no laughter interrupted him. Instead, the silence grew deeper. 1 month ago, our system was attacked by the Dravidian expansion fleet. Many of you have heard reports of what happened. Some of those reports may seem impossible. Alan paused, looking around the room. Where before he had seen mockery, now he saw caution. Fear, even. Earth successfully defended itself using technology that operates on principles some of you believed were impossible. Today, I am here to confirm those reports and to formally request a reassessment of Earth's status in the galactic community. The council leader stood. He was very old, with skin like paper and eyes that glowed white. His voice was soft but carried to every corner of the hall. The council acknowledges Earth's unexpected capabilities. We have received the reports from witnesses to the Mars incident. We have also received the formal withdrawal of the Dravidian expansion from your system. The leader paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. The council would be interested in learning more about this technology. For peaceful purposes, of course. Alan nodded. Earth is prepared to share some aspects of our dimensional physics research, under the right conditions. What conditions? Asked Counselor Zixaval. The blue alien who had laughed loudest before now looked uncomfortable. First, a formal recognition of Earth's sovereignty and our right to develop technology without outside interference, Alan said. Second, access to the Council's scientific database. Third, the establishment of fair trade agreements with all Council worlds. The Council leader's glowing eyes blinked slowly. These terms are acceptable. Earth's status will be upgraded from developing world to full member immediately. Just like that, everything changed. The meeting continued for hours as details were worked out. Throughout it all, no one laughed at the humans again. Back on Earth in the Oval Office, President Ellis watched the proceedings via secure transmission. General Walsh and Admiral Blackwood stood nearby. They're being very accommodating, the President observed. Nothing like having your physics textbooks rewritten to make you more flexible, General Walsh said with a small smile. The Admiral nodded. The question is, how much do we share with them? Enough to establish good relations, the President said firmly. Enough to secure our place in the galactic community. But not everything. Not yet. In Nevada, the black box facility had changed. No longer hidden, it now operated as an open research center. Still secure, still protected, but now with a new addition. A small group of carefully selected alien scientists who had been invited to collaborate with the human team. Olivia Reyes stood in front of a group of visitors, pointing to diagrams floating in the air. The aliens watched with intense focus. A Pleiadian with pale skin and large black eyes, a tall insect-like being with compound eyes, 3 small green creatures with large heads, and others. The key breakthrough was understanding that quantum foam isn't just noise at the smallest scales, Olivia explained. It's actually the bridge between dimensions. By manipulating it correctly, we can step outside normal space-time. But the power requirements must be enormous, said the Pleiadian. Jack Miller, standing nearby, shook his head. That's another misconception. Once you understand the mathematics, you realize that dimensional shifting actually requires less energy than conventional space travel. You're not fighting against physics, you're using higher-level physics to bypass the limitations of 3D space. The aliens exchanged glances. These were challenging concepts, even for species that had explored space for millions of years. "Your species made this leap very quickly," said one of the green aliens. "From basic space travel to 7th-dimensional physics in less than a century." Olivia smiled. "Humans are good at looking at problems from different angles, and we're good at making intuitive leaps. And you're good at keeping secrets," the Pleiadian added. None of our observers detected this research. "Well," Jack said with a shrug, "we had good motivation. Nothing focuses the mind like being laughed at." In orbit around Earth, the Ascendant prepared for its first official mission as an exploration vessel. The damage from the battle had been repaired. The dimensional drive had been improved based on lessons learned during combat. Captain Winters stood on the bridge, looking at his crew. Some faces were new. The strain of dimensional travel had been too much for a few of the original crew members, but most were veterans of the Mars incident. "Our orders are simple," Nate told them. "We're to explore the region of space beyond the Horsehead Nebula, an area previously thought unreachable due to distance and radiation." "For us, not a problem," said Commander Chen with a smile. "Exactly. We'll be testing the improved drive, mapping new systems, and showing the flag, letting the galaxy know that humanity has arrived." As the crew prepared for departure, Admiral Blackwood visited the ship one last time. He found Captain Winters in the observation lounge. "Nervous?" the Admiral asked. Nate shook his head. "No, sir, we're ready. The ship is better than ever. This mission is different from the last one. No battles this time, just exploration." "That's what we signed up for in the first place, sir." The Admiral nodded, looking out at Earth below. "The Council has been asking questions about our next-generation research, the work on 8th-dimensional physics. What are we telling them? Just enough to keep them interested, not enough to make them nervous." The Admiral turned to face the captain. "The balance of power has shifted, Nate. We went from being dismissed as primitives to being treated as equals in the span of a day. That's a dangerous transition. You think some species might see us as a threat now? I know they do. The reports from our new embassy on the Council station are clear. Some factions are arguing that humanity advanced too quickly, that we must have had help, that we can't be trusted." Nate frowned. "And the others?" "Others are fascinated. They want to learn from us, work with us. They see our different approach to physics as refreshing, an opportunity." "And which side is winning?" The Admiral smiled slightly. "That's partly up to you and your crew, Captain. This mission isn't just about exploration. It's about showing the galaxy what kind of people we are." After the Admiral left, Nate returned to the bridge. The ship was ready. The crew was at their stations. "Take us out, Lieutenant Garcia," he ordered. "Standard drive until we clear Earth orbit." The Ascendant moved away from Earth, a black ship against the stars. "Course laid in for the Horsehead Nebula, Captain," reported the navigation officer. "Distance?" Nate asked. "Approximately 500 light-years, sir." Nate nodded. "ETA using conventional drive?" "About 2,500 years, sir," the officer said with a small smile. "And using the dimensional drive?" 3 days, sir." Nate settled into his command chair. "Take us to dimensional space, Lieutenant Ramirez. Let's show the galaxy what we can do." The ship trembled slightly. Outside the viewports, stars bent and twisted as reality shifted. Colors appeared that had no names in human language. The Ascendant slipped between dimensions, heading for places no Earth ship had ever gone before. In the engine room, Olivia monitored the improved drive. It hummed quietly, the dangerous power, surges of the first version now controlled and smoothed out. "Dimensional shift complete," she reported. "All systems stable." Jack looked up from his station. 3 days to the Horsehead Nebula. 6 months ago, we thought it would take generations to reach it. "This is just the beginning," Olivia said. "The calculations for 8th-dimensional space are already promising. And beyond that, who knows?" As the Ascendant traveled through higher dimensions, a new class of cadets began training at the Earth Space Academy. Young men and women who had grown up watching the stars, now preparing to visit them. Their instructor, an older man with gray hair and tired eyes, wrote a single, Question on the board. What is the most important quality for an explorer? The cadets called out answers. Courage. Intelligence. Technical skill. The instructor shook his head. Those are all good qualities. But the most important is imagination. The ability to see what others cannot. To think in ways others do. Not. He tapped the board, where equations filled the space. The mathematics of dimensional travel. The aliens had millions of years of space travel. They thought they knew everything, but they stopped looking for new answers because they believed they had found them all. The instructor smiled at his class. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our refusal to accept limitations, our willingness to question everything, our ability to look at the same stars everyone else has seen and see something new.